Have you ever looked at someone successful and thought, they have something I don't, a stronger mind, more confidence, more discipline, more luck? But what if none of that were true? What if the greatest difference between extraordinary people and ordinary people was not talent, not intelligence, not opportunity, but the way they trained their minds? Because every impossible achievement in human history started as an impossible thought. Before a person climbed the highest mountain, people said it couldn't be done. Before a person built a company from nothing, people said it was unrealistic. Before a person transformed their life, others said they would never change. Yet someone did, someone always does. And the reason is simple. Most people train their bodies. Few people train their minds. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They knew that your external world is often a reflection of your internal world. If your mind is weak, challenges become mountains. If your mind is strong, mountains become challenges. Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts while leading an empire. Through wars, betrayals, disease, and uncertainty, yet he repeatedly reminded himself of one powerful truth. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond, and that response determines everything. Today, we live in a world full of distractions. Every notification steals attention. Every comparison steals confidence. Every unnecessary opinion steals peace. Most people are not defeated by their enemies. They are defeated by their own minds. The voice that says, I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? What if people judge me? That voice has stopped more dreams than any obstacle ever could. The Stoics believe that the first battle is never outside. It is inside. Imagine two people facing the exact same situation. Both lose their jobs, both face rejection, both experience failure. One person collapses. The other grows stronger. Why? Because circumstances did not create the difference. Mindset did. The event was the same. The interpretation was different. This is where mental training begins. You must stop believing everything your mind tells you. Your thoughts are not always facts. Fear is not proof. Doubt is not truth. Anxiety is not prophecy yet. Millions of people allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. They quit because they feel discouraged. They surrender because they feel afraid. They stop because they feel uncertain. But feelings change. A trained mind understands this. A trained mind says, I may feel fear, but I will act anyway. I may feel doubt, but I will continue. I may feel tired, but I will move forward. That is strength, not the absence of fear, but action despite fear. Think about the people you admire most: athletes, leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, writers. They are not fearless. They simply learned how to move while fear was present. Fear became a passenger, not the driver. This is one of the greatest Stoic lessons. You do not need perfect conditions to begin. You only need the courage to take the next step. Too many people waste years waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for certainty. But confidence is not what comes before action. Confidence comes after action. Every small victory strengthens belief. Every difficult challenge builds resilience. Every uncomfortable moment expands your limits. This is why comfort is dangerous. Comfort feels safe, comfort feels pleasant. Comfort feels harmless, but comfort quietly weakens ambition. A comfortable person rarely grows. Growth lives in discomfort. Growth lives in uncertainty. Growth lives where excuses end. The Stoics intentionally practiced discomfort. They sometimes slept on hard surfaces. They sometimes wore simple clothes. They sometimes reduced luxuries. Not because suffering was the goal, because strength was. They wanted to prove to themselves that they could survive hardship. When you know you can survive difficulty, fear loses power over you. Modern people often panic at the smallest inconvenience. A delayed message, a negative comment, a minor setback. Yet these small events consume entire days of emotional energy. A Stoic would ask, is this truly worth my peace? Most problems are not as large as they appear. Your mind enlarges them. It repeats them. It dramatizes them. It turns possibilities into certainties. The challenge is rarely the challenge. The challenge is your reaction to the challenge. This realization changes everything. Because once you master your reactions, you begin mastering your life. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no insult can control you, no rejection can define you, no setback can destroy your confidence. That is freedom. Real freedom is not having everything you want. Real freedom is remaining strong even when you don't. This is what separates mentally powerful people from everyone else. They refuse to hand control of their emotions to external events. They understand a simple truth. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Opportunities will disappear. Mistakes will happen. None of this is optional. What is optional is your response. Every morning you are given a choice. You can complain or you can adapt. You can blame or you can improve. You can surrender or you can continue. The Stoics chose the second path. Not because it was easy, because it was effective. And effectiveness matters more than comfort. If you truly want to achieve what seems impossible, you must stop asking what if I fail, and start asking what if I succeed. What if your next decision changes your future? What if 1 year of discipline transforms your life? What if the obstacle in front of you is actually preparing you for something greater? Most people never discover their potential because they quit before reaching it. They stop at the first sign of resistance. They assume difficulty means they are on the wrong path. But difficulty is often proof that you are growing. A seed must break before it becomes a tree. Iron must endure fire before it becomes steel. Pressure creates strength. The question is not whether pressure exists. The question is whether you can use it. Every great achievement requires a version of you that does not yet exist. The current version of you cannot achieve future goals. That is why transformation is necessary. You must become stronger, more disciplined, more patient, more resilient. And that process begins in the mind. Because before you change your life, you must change the way you think. Before you achieve the impossible, you must believe that improvement is possible. Before the world sees your strength, you must discover it yourself. And that discovery begins today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions become perfect. Today, because the strongest minds are not born, they are built. And every single day gives you another opportunity to build yours. Now here's the truth most people never hear. Your biggest limitation is not your age, not your background, not your education, not your circumstances. Your biggest limitation is the story you keep repeating to yourself. The mind is powerful, but it is also dangerous. When left untrained, whatever you repeat becomes your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that life is unfair, your mind will search for evidence. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, your mind will prove it. If you constantly tell yourself that success belongs to other people, your actions will reflect that belief. This is why the Stoics paid close attention to their thoughts. They understood that thoughts become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, and character becomes destiny. Most people focus on changing outcomes. The Stoics focused on changing character, because when character improves, outcomes eventually follow. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day. Inside that backpack are old failures, old regrets, old mistakes, old embarrassments, old disappointments. Year after year you carry them, not because you must, because you choose to. Many people are imprisoned by events that happened years ago. A rejection, a betrayal, a failure, a lost opportunity. They relive those moments repeatedly. They allow the past to steal energy from the present, but the past has no power unless you give it power. A Stoic understands that yesterday cannot be changed. Only today can, and today is where transformation happens. Every sunrise presents a new opportunity, a new chance to think differently, a new chance to act differently, a new chance to become someone stronger. The world constantly tells you to focus on results. The Stoics tell you to focus on effort, because results are not always under your control. Effort is, you cannot control who supports you. You cannot control who doubts you. You cannot control who leaves you. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control your preparation. You can control your discipline. You can control your integrity. You can control your mindset. And those controls are enough. Marcus Aurelius never promised himself victory. He promised himself effort, that distinction is powerful. When your happiness depends on outcomes, you become fragile. When your happiness depends on effort, you become unstoppable because effort is available every day, no matter what happens around you. The greatest trap in modern life is comparison. People compare their beginning to someone else's middle. They compare their struggles to someone else's highlight reel. They compare their reality to someone else's appearance. And comparison destroys confidence. The Stoics had a different perspective. Compete with yourself. Become slightly better today than yesterday. Improve one habit. Strengthen one weakness. Learn one lesson. Repeat that process long enough, and your life changes dramatically. Most transformations are invisible at first. The tree grows underground before anyone sees it. The athlete trains before anyone applauds. The entrepreneur struggles before anyone notices. The disciplined person works in silence. The results appear later, far later than most people expect, which is why patience is a superpower. Many people quit because they underestimate how long success takes. They expect immediate results, immediate rewards, immediate recognition. But nature does not work that way, and neither does mastery. The strongest minds learn to trust the process, even when progress feels invisible, even when nobody notices, even when results are delayed, because they understand something important. Consistency beats intensity. Small actions repeated daily become extraordinary results. One disciplined day changes little. One disciplined year changes everything. The impossible is often just the visible result of invisible consistency. People see success. They do not see the sacrifices. People see confidence. They do not see the years of self-doubt that were conquered. People see strength. They do not see the battles fought in private. Every achievement has an unseen story behind it. And that story is usually built through discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is freedom. It frees you from excuses. It frees you from procrastination. It frees you from emotional decision-making. It allows you to act according to purpose instead of mood. The Stoics knew that emotions are temporary. Purpose endures. This is why they trained themselves to act according to principles. Rather than feelings when they felt lazy, they worked when they felt afraid. They acted when they felt discouraged. They continued not because they enjoyed discomfort, because they valued growth, and growth always requires effort. There will be days when motivation disappears, days when progress feels slow, days when doubt becomes loud. Those days matter most, because anyone can continue when everything feels easy. The true test arrives when nothing feels easy. Can you continue then? Can you remain disciplined? Then can you trust yourself? Then that is where greatness is built. Not in moments of comfort, but in moments of resistance. The Stoics believed obstacles were not enemies. They were teachers. Every challenge contains a lesson. Every setback contains information. Every difficulty contains an opportunity for growth. The obstacle is not blocking the path. The obstacle is the path. Think about that. The thing you are trying to avoid may be the very thing that transforms you. The conversation you fear. The challenge you resist, the responsibility you avoid. The discipline you postpone. Those things often contain your greatest growth. The mind becomes powerful when it stops running from discomfort and starts learning from it. Eventually, a remarkable change occurs. The things that once intimidated you become manageable. The things that once controlled you lose influence. The things that once seemed impossible become normal. Not because life became easier, because you became stronger. And that is the ultimate Stoic goal. Not a perfect life, a stronger self. Not fewer challenges, greater resilience. Not guaranteed success, greater character. Because when your character becomes strong enough, you stop fearing the future. You stop needing constant validation. You stop depending on circumstances for confidence. You become your own source of stability. And that is true power. So if there is one lesson to remember today, let it be this. The impossible is rarely impossible. It is usually unfamiliar. It is usually uncomfortable. It is usually difficult. But difficulty does not mean impossibility. Train your mind, strengthen your character. Master your reactions, control what you can. Accept what you cannot, move forward regardless. And one day, the things that once seemed impossible will become proof of who you chose to become. Part 3. Destroy the mental chains holding you back. Stoic philosophy. There is a prison that holds millions of people. You cannot see its walls, you cannot touch its bars, yet it controls their entire lives. It is not made of steel, it is made of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough. And the tragic part is that most people never realize they are trapped. They spend their entire lives obeying fears that exist only inside their minds. The Stoics understood this danger. They knew that the mind can become either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Everything depends on who is in control. Most people allow fear to become their master. A Stoic learns to become the master of fear. Think about the opportunities you've missed, the goals you delayed, the conversations you avoided, the risks you never took. How many of those decisions were truly caused by reality? And how many were caused by imagination? Because fear loves imagination. It creates disasters that never happen. It predicts failures that never arrive. It convinces you that rejection will destroy you. But when the moment finally comes, you often discover something surprising. You were stronger than your fear. This is why the Stoics practiced negative visualization. They would imagine difficult situations, not to become pessimistic. But to become prepared, they asked themselves, what if things don't go as planned? What if I lose something valuable? What if I face hardship? By mentally preparing themselves, they reduced the power of fear. The unknown became known, and what is known becomes less terrifying. Most people avoid thinking about challenges. The Stoics faced them directly. That is why they remained calm when difficulties arrived. Because they had already trained for them mentally. Life does not reward avoidance. Life rewards preparation. The stronger your mind becomes, the less control fear has over your decisions. Imagine how different your life would be if you stopped waiting for fear to disappear. What if you acted despite it? What if you started today? What if you took one step toward the goal you've been postponing? One action, one decision. One moment of courage that is often all it takes to change direction. The greatest transformations begin with small acts of bravery. Not giant leaps, small steps repeated consistently. Every time you confront fear, you weaken it. Every time you avoid fear, you strengthen it. The choice is yours. And remember, this courage is not something you were born with. It is something you practice. Just like discipline, just like patience, just like resilience, the mind becomes stronger through repetition. Day after day, challenge after challenge, decision after decision. Eventually, you become the person who once seemed impossible to become. Not because you were gifted, because you were persistent, because you refused to surrender, because you chose growth over comfort. And that choice changes everything. If there is one quality that separates dreamers from achievers, it is discipline. Everyone has goals. Everyone has plans. Everyone has ideas. But very few people have the discipline required to turn those ideas into reality. The Stoics believed that self-mastery is the highest form of power. Not controlling other people, not controlling circumstances, controlling yourself. Because when you can control yourself, very little in the world can defeat you. Think about how many lives are controlled by impulses. People eat when they should be disciplined. People quit when they should continue. People complain when they should adapt. People procrastinate when they should act. Their emotions become their leaders, and their lives reflect that. A Stoic chooses a different path. A Stoic acts according to values, not moods. This is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn. Your mood should not determine your actions. Your purpose should, because moods change constantly. Purpose remains. There will be mornings when you don't feel motivated. Work anyway. There will be days when progress feels slow. Continue anyway. There will be moments when quitting seems easier. Move forward anyway. That is how mental toughness is built. Not through comfort, through consistency. Every disciplined action sends a message to your mind. It says, I keep my promises. I finish what I start. I am stronger than my excuses. And over time, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes. You become someone who acts. This shift is powerful because success is rarely about knowledge. Most people already know what they should do. They know they should exercise. They know they should learn. They know they should work harder on their goals. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is execution. Discipline bridges the gap between knowing and doing. That bridge is where greatness lives. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every day was an opportunity to practice virtue, not perfection. Practice because perfection is impossible. Improvement is possible, and improvement is enough. Too many people fail because they expect immediate perfection. They make one mistake and quit. They miss one day and surrender. They face one setback and lose faith. The Stoics understood that progress is not linear. Some days are better than others. Some weeks are harder than others. But consistency always wins. A person who improves by 1% every day eventually becomes unrecognizable. Small actions create massive results over time. That is the secret most people overlook. They search for dramatic changes, but life changes through daily habits, daily decisions, daily disciplines. The impossible becomes possible when repeated effort meets enough time. This is why patience and discipline work together. Discipline keeps you moving. Patience keeps you believing. Without discipline, you never begin. Without patience, you never continue. Together, they create extraordinary results. The world often celebrates talent, but talent without discipline fades. Discipline without talent often succeeds. Because disciplined people keep showing up. They keep learning. They keep improving. They keep growing, and growth compounds year after year, challenge after challenge, until one day people call them successful. What others see as success is often years of invisible discipline, years of sacrifices nobody noticed, years of effort nobody applauded, years of persistence nobody understood. The Stoics never chased applause. They chased excellence. And excellence is always an internal pursuit. You do not need the world's approval to improve your life. You only need commitment to your values, commitment to your goals, commitment to becoming stronger than yesterday. Every day presents a choice. Comfort or growth, excuses or responsibility, fear or courage, weakness or strength. The choice seems small in the moment, but repeated over months and years, it determines your destiny. The strongest minds are not built in a single day. They are forged through thousands of decisions, thousands of moments where someone chose discipline over comfort. Chosen repeatedly, chosen consistently, chosen intentionally so as you move forward. Remember this. You are capable of more than you think, stronger than you believe, more resilient than you realize. The impossible is not reserved for extraordinary people. It is achieved by ordinary people who refuse to stop. Train your mind, strengthen your discipline, master your emotions, and continue moving forward, because the person you want to become is waiting. On the other side of the challenges you are willing to face.